A very good evening to you and welcome to Rwanda Television News with me, Sam Kalisa. Rwanda's Mufti has urged Muslims to ensure that actions of charity do not end with Eid al-Fitr, and also urged the faithful to not let the COVID-19 pandemic have a resurgence in the country. Sergeant Hore kickstarts tonight's bulletin with this report.
The Kigali Regional Stadium was one of the venues used to mark Eid al-Fitr, the end of the month of Ramadan, and all COVID-19 preventive measures were respected. Ramadan is a month of mercy, blessings and asking God to forgive our sins. Muslims tried to protect themselves from the COVID-19 pandemic, but that did not stop us from helping people the way we usually do. We shared our food with our non-Muslim neighbors. We Rwandans should respect the preventive guidelines in place, and if we work together, we will eventually beat this pandemic. This Ramadan was different because before, when the month came to an end, we would go and celebrate with friends and family. That is now not possible because of the COVID-19 pandemic. As Muslims, we did, however, help each other and give advice to one another, and we thank God that the fast went well. We are also praying for our country so that we can defeat this pandemic. Rwanda's Mufti has urged Muslims to ensure that actions of charity do not end with Eid al-Fitr, and also called for the faithful not to let COVID-19 make a resurgence. This is a time God has given to Muslims so that they may have some reflection. Many feel they did many deeds that include prayers and helping one another, but that should not end with Ramadan. Those are things a Muslim should do all their lives. In these difficult times, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic that has killed many people, we cannot let it make a resurgence. So gatherings to celebrate are not allowed. Muslims understand that inviting neighbors, friends and family over is not something they should even be considering during such times. I am a person who loves inviting people over for meals, but that is not possible today. Only my family share the meal so that we can continue protecting ourselves from COVID. I have also urged my friends not to invite people over to their homes. We must do this to protect ourselves. Inviting guests over to your home is not allowed because of COVID, and we all know that. So I came to work as usual, and afterwards I will share a meal with my own family. I decided to work because we can't invite people to our house anyway. President Paul Kagame tweeted his message to the Muslim community in Rwanda and beyond on this occasion, wishing them happy and safe celebrations. All venues in Rwanda where mass prayers were held were found to respect COVID-19 preventive measures.
Thank you, Sergeant Hore, for that report. Moving ahead, the Chief of Defense Staff of the Rwanda Defense Force, General Jean Bosco Kazura, and the Inspector General of the Rwanda National Police, CG Dan Munyuza, on Thursday completed a 5-day visit to Tanzania. During the departure at the Julius Kambarage Nyerere International Airport, the officials were accompanied by the Tanzanian Chief of Defense Forces, General Venance Salvatore Mabeyo, together with other generals in the Tanzania People's Defense Forces, TPDF, plus other police commissioners. Rwanda diplomats led by the defense staff of the Rwanda National Defense Force were accompanied by the ambassador of Rwanda to Tanzania, Major General Charles Karamba. During this working visit, the Chief of Defense Staff of the Rwanda Defense Force, accompanied by the ambassador of Rwanda to Tanzania, met with various officials, including the Minister of Defense in Tanzania. Moving ahead, although the increasing use of technology brings forth cybercrimes, people are urged not to be discouraged from using technology because strategies to deal with cybercrimes are intensified day by day. On the second day of the National Security Symposium organized by the Rwanda Defense Force Command and Staff College in Musanze District, the Minister of ICT and Innovation, Ingabire Paula, together with a team of technology experts, revealed the gap in Africa's technology system in regards to the increase in the number of cybercrimes.
njya mu kintu cya mbere na mbere dukora ni ukubanza guhugura abantu. Hari uguhugura mu moko atandukanye, hari uguhugura.
We need to train people on how to deal with the impact of cybercrimes, plus advocacy on how to equip citizens on how they can protect themselves. We also urge Rwandans not to stop using technology because there are cybercrimes which can have an impact on their lives. We should rather establish means to help us fight cybercrimes than stopping the use of technology which helps us in development. Participants also on Tuesday exchanged views on how the bad image that the international media give Africa can be changed. It is a stunning image depicting the continent as a source of pollution, famine and poverty. The saddest thing about all this, according to the experts, is that Africans sit around and watch what makes them worthless. Insufficient knowledge and poverty among African media houses has been indicated as the cause of poor performance by the African media, which needs to be changed, as explained by Joseph Warungu, a media expert.
African states and African governments need to invest in this. BBC is funded by the British government. Al Jazeera is funded by the state of Qatar. The Chinese too, CGTN, is funded by the Chinese. The reason they do that, they think it is important to tell their own story and to report the world in their own lenses. So they have gone back into their pockets and said, we think this is important, we'll put money to run it. Now, African governments also need to, in the same way that they say health infrastructure is important, media helps. Media helps, for example, during this time of COVID, to communicate messages of how to keep societies and communities safe. So in that same way, you can invest in the media and encourage them to tell, a better story of what is going on in the country.
Michael Robin, an American, on the other hand, advises people to be bold and denounce false accusations about the African continent. He stresses that those who do it have their hidden interests.
Sometimes we only hear false narratives put forward by people with other objectives. So what I would argue is that it's essential for Rwandans not just to talk to other Rwandans, but rather to write for the New York Times, the Washington Post, to get the truth out.
During discussions, participants deliberated on how best to make productive of the African youth so that they can be the drive of its development. Rwanda's Minister of Justice, who is also the country's Attorney General, has pointed out that recovering the bodies of genocide victims is still difficult because those who know where they are have kept quiet. He made the observation in Rubavu District as more bodies were given a decent burial and the genocide memorial sites of Rugerero and Gisenyi were merged.
An extra 142 bodies of the victims of the genocide that was perpetrated against the Tutsi in Rwanda were laid to rest at the Gisenyi Genocide Memorial Site that already contained 4,613 bodies. These latest bodies were recovered last year at the Gisenyi airport, and another 448 bodies were also moved from the Rugerero Genocide Memorial Site as the two were merged into one. Rugerero is significant because that is where what used to be commune Rubavu is located. Many Tutsi were gathered there before being taken to Kabashije to be killed. Some of the worst Interahamwe militia were stationed there and were determined that no Tutsi would be able to cross and escape into Congo, then known as Zaire. We are therefore asking that a memorial be put there so that what happened is never forgotten. Officials of the National Commission for the Fight Against Genocide have confirmed that a memorial will be set up at Rugerero. Where possible, a memorial is left at such places, and when it is not possible, then that history goes where the bodies have been moved. When bodies are relocated, all the relevant information about the victims and where they were killed is also put on display. Government officials have again asked Rwandans to learn from what happened in their country and continue resisting those that may try to take them back to that terrible past. Any who have tried, be it those who are known or those that aren't, be it raids or those that try to plant genocidal ideologies. As of 2021, they have all been defeated. Anyone who knows of a person who has not been defeated in this respect should point them out, and they will continue to be defeated. It does not matter if they attack Chinigi or try to recruit people to cross over and go for training, or attack Nyabimata, close Nyungwe. Wherever they may come from, they will be defeated as they have always been defeated. The minister also pointed out that recovering the bodies of genocide victims is still difficult because those who know where they are have remained quiet.
Ahenshi nta muntu wagaragaje ayo makuru.
Most of the locations where bodies were uncovered were not pointed out by anyone. Rather, developmental activities uncovered them when excavations began. It is very sad that every time we think we have finished giving our loved ones a decent burial, more bodies turn up, found by machines, when people who know of their whereabouts have remained quiet.
Kandi abantu babizi bacecetse.
Giving the bodies a decent burial coincided with commemoration activities in and around Gisenyi town, activities that are usually held on the 30th of April.
And moving ahead, people have been complaining about an increase in the prices of wheat flour and cooking oil, especially now, with so many people struggling financially because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The people we spoke to said they were surprised when the prices of things they were accustomed to eating suddenly went up. One mandazi costs 150 Rwandan francs. So does a bun, and even bread that used to cost 100 Rwandan francs is now 150 or even 200 Rwandan francs. No one is eating mandazis anymore. The prices are rising and bread now costs 120 Rwandan francs for just one piece. A mandazi is up to 150 when it used to be 100. A litre of cooking oil used to cost 2,000 Rwandan francs and now it is 2,800 or even 3,000 Rwandan francs. Retailers and manufacturers alike say people should understand that the prices going up is because of international market prices and that many have been incurring losses, something officials in the Ministry of Trade and Industry say they are aware of. We know of the problem of wheat flour prices going up and cooking oil as well. The cause is international market prices have been affected by the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. You know that many restrictions have continued globally, and this has affected supply and in turn the prices of commodities. Countries like China have been buying large amounts of grains, including wheat, resulting in shortages globally and rising prices. The Ministry of Trade and Industry says it is going to undertake an initiative to explain to the general public that the rising prices are being caused by the economic effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Into health matters now, Rubavu District residents are happy that the construction of a model hospital that was promised to them by the President of the Republic has been completed. They, however, request that the process of installing equipment should be expedited so that the facility can start providing medical services they need.
We are in a postpartum room at Munini Hospital in Rubavu District. Many residents visit this hospital for medical services, and sometimes they exceed its capacity. As you can see, all these beds are occupied. When patients increase, each bed accommodates 2 people. There are very many patients here. These are some of the people who have been in the hospital for some days now. They say that the small size of this hospital and lack of equipment make it impossible for it to provide services they come to seek. We thank the President of the Republic. People used to get sicker from their homes. Some would even die on the way to the hospital. Few meters from this hospital, a 3-floor building has been constructed. It is a model hospital that the President of the Republic promised residents as part of easing access to health services. Citizens expect better services when the facility starts to operate. They, however, request that the process of installing equipment should be expedited so that the facility can provide them with the medical services they need. We need it to be speeded up. The President of the Republic is always a parent. We believe it will be done soon. Dr. Nesidiayo Felipe, the director of Munini Hospital, confirmed that if the facility begins its operations, it will ease services delivery and reduce medical transfers the hospital have been recommending. The first challenge we have is the shortage of rooms where we can receive patients from. We also need modern equipment. We used to transfer parents, but this building will be enough to solve that problem. It has been 2 weeks since the building was completed. Mutsinzi Divine, in charge of construction activities, say the construction works remaining would not interfere with other services if the hospital were to start operating. We're just putting things in place. Construction works are done. We're waiting for equipment to arrive so that we can start installing them. The acting mayor of Nyaruguru District, Gashema Janvier, assured residents that the hospital will start operations not later than June this year, and that the Rwanda Biomedical Center have already issued a tender for the equipment needed at the hospital. A tender for all the equipment was given, so the hospital will start operations in the near future. The other thing is that a provisional handover will be done next week, and after that, the hospital will start operations, as that's the reason the President of the Republic gave it to us. Construction works for the Munini Hospital began in 2018. It was expected to be completed at a cost of more than 7 billion Rwandan francs, and now was completed at 9 billion Rwandan francs. This was due to some of the expensive equipment that were used and others that were added on the list of equipment needed after the planning. The hospital is expected to accommodate between 250 to 300 beds.
Into sports matters, the Rwanda Development Board, RDB, through Visit Rwanda, has announced that it has signed a 3-year contract with the organizers of the Basketball Africa League, commonly known as BAL. The CEO of RDB, Claire Akamanzi, who did not specify the worth of the contract, said this is in line with the investment to attract tourists through sports.
And the reason for that is that sports is a very good way of bringing tourists into the country. Not just the players that are coming to play, but also the fans or the staff that come to the country. Today we expect for this basketball league over 1,000 people to come out of the country. This brings consumption to our hotels, which is badly needed given the COVID-19 pandemic. It brings demand for Made in Rwanda. We expect that when they're here, they will consume and be attracted to purchasing Made in Rwanda products that we have in the country and services. Number 3, we also expect that they will also look for art. As Mr. Madu said, art comes together with sports to create this creative industry that we are witnessing. So we also expect that exposure to Rwandan artists.
On behalf of the entire news and technical team that made it happen, thank you very much for being with us. My name is Sam Kalisa. Have a good evening.